Hello, today we're talking about Aeroplan, which is one of my favorite loyalty programs across the world. And it is specifically great for Canadians as it's owned and operated by Air Canada. This means you can use these points to book amazing Air Canada flights and also use them to book on Star Alliance partners. On top of that, there's also a bunch of other Aeroplan partners that are not in Star Alliance. The program has so much value and I've benefited from using it personally. I think people underestimate what you can use your Aeroplan points for, so I'm making this video to help show you. We'll be covering amazing Aeroplan redemptions, how you can win up to 200,000 Aeroplan points, finding availability on Air Canada and partners. Before we dive in, I want to thank Milesopedia and Aeroplan for sponsoring this video. They have a contest running April 1st to April 30th, 2024, where if you follow these very simple steps, you can win up to 200,000 Aeroplan points. Let me quickly show you how to do this and we'll dive into some amazing redemption options. First, you're going to want to use the link in the description below to get to this website. Then you can click register here. After that, you'll want to enter your first name, last name, and your email address. Then enter your postal code here, and voila, you're already entered to win 25,000 Aeroplan points. If you'd like the opportunity to win an additional 175,000 Aeroplan points, click this button below, add a travel itinerary. Here, tell us about your dream trip on Aeroplan points. There are so many different options to choose from and different trips that you can plan. Let me show you some of my favorite redemption options that are available right now. Feel free to use it as inspiration to plan your dream trip. What makes Aeroplan such an interesting program is there is a chart that dictates exactly how much your flight will cost in Aeroplan points. I am very familiar with this chart. I've analyzed it a lot over the years, and I'll just go over the highlights of how it works so you can get started on finding your dream itinerary. So for Aeroplan, there are travel zones. And as you can see here, we have North America, South America, Atlantic, and Pacific. There's a specific amount of points to travel within each zone and then from one zone to another. And they're a little bit different for each different zone crossing into another. For most people, within North America is going to be the most popular redemption. So as you can see, we have a distance in miles. The further you go, the more in points you will spend on the flight, and then operated by. There is a specific points cost for flights operated by Air Canada and then also their partner airlines. Don't sleep on the partners. There are so many different Aeroplan partners and you can try some while still using your Aeroplan points. Logically, you pay a different amount for economy, premium economy, and business class seats, and you will pay more for the higher end service options. I want to note that entering this full contest can win you up to 200,000 Aeroplan points, and as you can see, the most expensive flight within North America is only 35,000 points. You can do a lot of flying on that amount. We won't get too into the weeds here as there is a lot of information that you can dive into yourself. Each chart has slightly different rules about how far you can fly and how many points it costs. One thing that I think is important to note and very interesting about the Aeroplan program is that if you're flying on an Air Canada operated flight, there is a range. So for economy to the Pacific zone, for a flight lower than 5,000 miles, it can cost between 35,000 points and 65,000 points. This is what's called dynamic pricing. In short, there's just a range of prices that you could pay for an Air Canada operated flight, but there will always be some availability to book on points. Conversely, if you're booking on a partner airline, there is a flat fee. So if there is availability on the partner airline flight for this distance band, it will always be 35,000 points. Just note that there may not be availability on that flight. The thing about points availability is it is always coming and going and changing, which gives me a lot to talk about. Okay, let's start looking at some redemption options. So I'm just on aircanada.com, and it's quite simple to search for reward availability on Aeroplan points. You can input your departure city, your destination, your dates, and then you just click this box to book with Aeroplan points. When I'm searching for Aeroplan point availability, I often like to search on one ways. You can just click that here and then hit search. I did pick this for a reason. This is the longest domestic flight in Canada, Halifax to Vancouver, non-stop, over 6 hours in the air. It will show you a non-stop option first, but interestingly enough, there are some other options. You can stop over in Toronto and then continue on to Vancouver for even less in Aeroplan points. Another great benefit I love about Aeroplan points is that often you can find great last-minute flight deals. Typically for booking cash fares, you will pay a lot to book a last-minute flight, but if there's still point availability, it can still be priced dynamically at the bottom range, and you can get a great deal to get out of town for last minute. Here's a good example, Toronto to Turks and Caicos. I'm not going to try and say their capital city's name because I'm going to mispronounce it, but this is a great deal in Aeroplan points, just over 10,000 plus fees for economy or 24,000 plus fees for business class. Another great use of Aeroplan points is to fly in business class. Check out this example, Toronto to Vancouver, one-way, non-stop flight. It is early in the morning, but you can get lie flat seats for 24,000 Aeroplan points plus fees. You can click preview seats to make sure it is these lie flat seats. Once it loads, you'll want to go up here and go to business class, and then let's let that load, scroll down, and voila, you can see all the remaining seats that you can book on points. In this example, there are still 8 seats left at 24k points. As I mentioned earlier in the video, one of the amazing perks of Aeroplan points is that you can book with more than just Air Canada. You can book with a ton of different partner airlines right on Air Canada's websites using Aeroplan points. In this example, we're going Montreal to Zurich non-stop, 7-hour flight, and they have availability for 35,000 points in economy and 60,000 in business class, plus fees. Let's carry on with another great option and example, Vancouver to Frankfurt on Lufthansa. In this case, they only have business class availability, but it is 70,000 points plus fees. What I love about this flight specifically is that if you're booking in business class, you have a choice to sit on the upper deck or the main deck. I have yet to fly on a plane with 2 levels, but this is definitely a dream of mine, and I will very likely be using Aeroplan points to make it happen. I find Aeroplan points to be super valuable for booking flights to Asia. There has been so much demand to go to Japan lately, and I totally understand why. If you can find availability on these super high demand flights, you can still get great deals. 40,000 in economy, Vancouver to Osaka, almost 11 hours of flying time. Some of this availability can be super rare to find, but that's what makes Aeroplan points so much fun for me, is finding the different availability and comparing what's the most optimal way to use your points. If you don't find that stuff fun, follow me and I'll help you do it. But this is an incredible redemption. Vancouver to Bangkok direct, over 15 hours of flight time, and you can book it for 75,000 points plus fees. As a reminder, you can win up to 200,000 points if you enter the Milesopedia and Aeroplan contest. Okay, lastly, I want to talk about some under the radar ways to use your Aeroplan points. Typically, I use my Aeroplan points to fly to or from Canada, as that's where I live, but you don't have to do that. With Aeroplan points, you can book flights on partner airlines that don't involve Canada at all, and there are some great options to do this. Let me show you through a few. We can go Bangkok to Sydney on Thai Airways. They have 2 flight options for this day, and as you can see, there's availability in economy on both or business class for one of these flights. Over 9 hours of flying time for this low in points is such an awesome value. A similar option, but heading in the other direction, we can go Melbourne to Singapore. And interestingly enough, on this flight, there's even multiple carriers that you can book. As you can see, you can book on Emirates, which does have a dynamic pricing schedule like Aeroplan, or you can book on another super luxurious partner, Singapore Airlines. In this case, I'd probably go for Singapore Airlines as their flights are much cheaper in this specific circumstance, but you really can't go wrong, and I know a ton of people want to fly Emirates as part of their travel bucket list. The bottom line is both of these Aeroplan partners are super luxurious, and being able to book them with your Aeroplan points is such an awesome benefit. Continuing with some other alternative Aeroplan redemption options, you can fly from Istanbul to Hong Kong, over 10 hours of flight time, and it's only 40,000 points in economy and 60,000 in business class, plus fees of course. And I'm just showing you the top options, which are the non-stop flights, but if you want to get weird or have a bunch of different options, Aeroplan will give you so many options to try and piece together an itinerary based on all the partner flights that they have available. I mean, check out all these interesting flights you can take. Copenhagen to Addis Ababa, 25k in economy, 45k in business class, and if we go into the details and look, we actually have a stopover in Vienna on the way to Addis Ababa. I could probably talk about all the random routes that you could take using Aeroplan points for a whole video's worth of content, and let me know if you think you'd find that interesting. As you've seen in this video, there is a ton of different options to redeem your Aeroplan points, spanning from short flights in North America to flights to Europe and Asia, to a bunch of different flights from continents that you don't even live on. As a reminder, there is a link to the Milesopedia and Aeroplan contest in my bio where you can win up to 200,000 Aeroplan points. As I've hopefully shown in that video, that can take you a very long way. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more Aeroplan content and travel tips and point strategy. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.